I'm going to introduce myself again. My name is Adam. My name is very common in Korea. I had like 3 Adam in my class when I was growing up in one class. So it's very common. It sounds very similar to the season autumn in English. And I guess that's it. I moved to Canada in 2016. Since then, I've been living here. I'm sorry for lagging conversation. So I'm going to start with my title. I'm going to explain my title first. My mother is data. So I'm going to explain my mother and data. And I'm going to start with the data part. I found a very cute little presentation that I made a long time ago. I thought it's nice to share it here. So here is data. In the traditional hierarchy of data and information, knowledge, and wisdom, it's a pyramid that you see. So data, we often use data as information or data as knowledge or vice versa, but it's actually the very raw material and vulnerable, unstable, and it should be stored and analyzed to become information or knowledge. So I compare this data with memory. And these are the questions that I had a long time ago when I started this project. And so my mother part, I'm going to explain with the work that I did in 2019. It's called the Memory Palace. It's not really in the exhibition at Clark right now, but it explains my situation or my relationship towards my mom. So I will play this one and explain it. Oops. So I have my birth mom and birth mother, and I haven't met her in person since when I was 10, and still now I haven't seen her since then. But I had a little period that I had a contact with my mom, only by email or phone call, and those very peculiar conversation was inspired me to make this work. And then before coming to Canada 2016, my father told me that my mother is dead. I had a very loose relationship with my father, but we had a contact. But then he suddenly told me that my mom is dead. So I was surprised and very panicked. And I went to the government office to check if she's dead or not, because if you're family, you can check through the document. But then there was a problem to prove myself as her daughter, because her family document was not digitized in government archive because it's too long. So and finally I begged, and then I found this document on the behind that is the big X on my mom's name, because she's been erased by because they divorced, my father and my mother divorced, so there was a big X. And this whole like process of going through all these things were very intense. And thinking back that all of my previous conversation of my mother, so I made this piece. So I compare my mother as data is my mother's data, like an online conversation. Her email was very touching to me and very affectionate, at the same time very empty, because I can't really touch it, I can't really see it. There's like a little gap between those emotions. So, and very fragile as like data, so compared with my mother and data. So, and then there's a lot of butterfly in my work, and then in the video I explain also why I use the butterfly, and I wanted to share one more time, because I can use the online internet now and share this information. So it's from the Jangju. It's called Jangja in Korean. I learned him when I was very young, in I guess middle school. It's very famous figure in Korea and China. It's philosopher, and he was born in BC 369, and then followed the Taoism as well. And there's a very famous phrase of he dreamed as a butterfly, and it was a really like he experienced flying, all the senses when he was dreaming, and he had an existential question after that, that if he is a butterfly dreaming of human, or human dreaming butterfly. And I compare that with the screen, or those virtual and actual experiences. So there's a butterfly. And I also made my mother is, this is a little figure that I bought. It's a 3D character that I bought from online. It's called the average Asian female figure. That's a character name that I bought. So I don't know also my mom's personal, all those things, as like my mom also doesn't know me, my personality or my history or any kind of like distinction between the me and other friends, for example. So I bought an average Asian female figure, and this figure is going through that. This screen is from Google Map. I have her current address from the government document, and I Googled it, and then it's I also made it as a 3D. I built a 3D, and it's used it. And then there's so and then in the video, in the exhibition, there is also parts that you are becoming a butterfly and flying around the forest as like the Jangja butterfly dream. And I build a forest, and then this first person game like environment, and I recorded it. So it's like this, and then there's a little ad around it. And while playing this, there is a virtual characters that talks about the similar topics that I brought it here. Because this is very, it's started from the personal story, and I often like people worried about my people who saw my work talks about like they worried about my relationship with my mother, or like how they were curious about how I feel about showing my personal stories in public. So there's like, and I often like thinking if this is fake, my story is fake. because I have also feeling a little guilt because that my memory is very fragile as well, and this is based on my memory, and some could be wrong, and I question if it matters if it's wrong or if it's my story or someone else's story. And there's a question. So this is so in the video, there's a virtual characters talking about this, and I wrote it, so it's my own thinking, but it's from the characters. Anyway, I am making stories, and whether it's novel, my work is research being made and not found anyway, memories fragile, do you enjoy more if it's based on the true story or not? That's my questions. And there's another character talks about soldier. My brother is a professional soldier and works at the Choron, which is the northeast in South Korea. And in the event of war, he will be placed on the mountain hill just below North Korea. In every scenario, they simulate he dies because there's a war simulation in the training program. So every time they runs the simulation, then he dies, and it's like a virtual die. It's a scenario. It can happen, but it's not happening unless the war started. So that's talking about that. And there is also Dogo Daddy. Dogo Daddy talks about I have a dog, and then when I play the things on the TV, and my dog saw a squirrel on TV and then excited and looks around and then starts smelling for it, and then she noticed that it's a fake. And I was like, compare also how we like sense what's fake or what's real. And another story that our brain and emotions are stimulated by it's not based on the true or fake, it's based on the simulation. So that's how we enjoy the stories.